Okay, Matt, let's start with your full name and talk about your relevant background experience.
Okay, my name is Matt Schwabauer. I have a bachelor's of science in mechanical engineering, and I have 4 years of construction management experience with Kiewit.
Okay, we talk more about that last one.
Sure. I was a field engineer for about a year and a half, and then an estimator for a few years. They're a large, heavy civil contractor. I was involved in a highway project, estimates for various heavy civil construction projects, and I worked on a pump station and waterworks pipeline project.
Okay, so you said field director, that was the first one, right?
Field engineer, yes.
Field engineer. Okay, what is your day to day like and what skills are you applying?
I was responsible for organizing and making sure that my crews had all of the materials, information, everything they needed to do their day-to-day task. That involving parts, tracking progress, setting goals, um, communicating with inspectors, um, coordinating between the foreman and various crews, allocating equipment needs, things like that.
So you're able to make sure their project fits building codes?
Yes, we had plans and specs for everything we were building and had to follow those and then document and make sure that we were in line with all of that stuff.
Could you research local building codes?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
What kind of buildings were you making?
These were heavy civil projects. The first project I was involved in, where I was a field engineer, was a pump station. I was involved with the excavation operation and the earthworks crew. So we had compaction specifications and things we had to do with our waste material and certain specs for backfill material. Then I also worked on the pipeline crew and a small bore cooling system crew as well.
Can you run heavy equipment?
No,
So you,
I don't have experience in it.
okay. Um, let's talk more about your hands-on experience. In terms of fabrication, you've got a lot. I mean, I read some of your stuff. Can you go more in depth about that? It looks pretty good. But what what's your experience using tools? What tools can you use? How many hours on each, or how long have you worked with each?
Sure. I'm proficient with all sorts of hand tools, hand saws, drills, hammers, things like that. I have some shop experience. I have a handful of hours using a MIG welder. I've used a milling machine and a lathe, but it's been more than a few years, and that was in a supervised classroom environment.
What kind of
Um,
stuff did you make with that?
I'm sorry.
What kind of stuff were you making with the mill and lathe?
It was classroom exercises.
Okay.
We didn't produce a whole lot of final products.
Okay. Um, let's see. And then, okay, so you said you were a field engineer, and then after that, what was the next job that you had fulfilled? Project manager or
I was an estimator.
estimator, right?
There are various routes to becoming project manager, sponsor, management type positions in the company I was with. But my role took me from field engineer to estimator. Um, and then I became a more specific type of estimator on a project where I was estimating change orders for a highway project.
Okay, so mid project they wanted to change something in the design, so you had to make an estimate for that.
Yeah. The specific estimate I worked most with involved the realignment of an overpass. The contract owner was unable to acquire some property, and so we had to adjust the road and develop the impacts and cost associated with that change.
Okay. Okay, I got a list of stuff I got to go through. So, do you have any CAD experience?
Yes.
We talk about that.
Okay. It's typically involved receiving drawings from an engineer and doing minor manipulations, but typically just reading the drawings or manipulating the files as I needed. Not a whole lot of drafting experience. I'm not an expert in that, but I'm familiar with AutoCAD and Bentley products as well.
Okay, do you have a willingness to learn those products, get more in depth with them?
Yes, absolutely.
And let's gauge your willingness to learn in general. So, I mean, there's a lot of skills that we'll need you to get involved with, or get involved with applying. So, for example, we'll have to do some well drilling, CEB construction, general fabrication, some agriculture, building different kind of integrated systems with housing, so that we can recycle waste streams and stuff like that, produce energy. Are you that would be part of your job description? So you're comfortable with getting involved in a diverse number of projects?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Let's see. So generation of architecture drawings. I guess it's just 2D CAD, right? Do you have any experience doing that?
Do I have experience with 2D CAD?
Yeah, making architectural drawings.
Yeah. I'm proficient in reading them. I haven't drawn very many.
Okay.
I can do hand sketches and I can produce drawings in CAD, but I don't have a whole lot of experience in it. I would need to refine that skill if I were to do a lot of it.
What about electrical and plumbing?
Basic understandings of both. Not a master of either.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about what are some of the hardest things you've had to deal with on the job, whether that's applying the designs or working with people. Like, let's talk about how you handled a crisis in the past.
Okay. On my last job in Vancouver, the highway project, we had changes. We had this change order for the realignment of the overpass, and then we also had other developments that would come up simultaneously. For example, there was a utility line running under one of the abutments for the overpass, and we discovered that it was a conflict before the redesign and another conflict during the design. So we had to make a very clear illustration of how that was an impact and a change and a new finding, but it wasn't going to be cost billed to the owner. It was a change that we would have had to deal with. So to properly explain that, I put together a drawing with proper words and a good explanation of how that was not an impact to the owner.
Okay, so did you get frustrated at that time? Were you upset?
Yeah, there were regular changes with this project. It was a $2.5 billion construction project, and there were numerous people I had to report to, and a lot of places where I had to assemble information from, and it could be challenging to get a hold of people and make sure I was doing what I was supposed to be. So I think to properly handle that, I just was sure to communicate effectively, to stay on task, not allow other people's busy schedules to impede my progress, and had to roll with the punches as part of a construction project. Changes happen. The schedule, while needs to be followed, is somewhat fluid, and that was something I've become capable of dealing with.
Okay. How do you deal with stress in your daily life? Do you have any do you regularly engage in any kind of physical activity or meditation?
I ride my bike a lot, and I find that to be a very thought clearing process and one that I enjoy quite a bit. I ride it as my transportation,
Yeah.
um, so that's my moment of rest during the day.
What about diet? Do you have any diet restrictions?
Nope,
Okay.
I like to eat healthy, prefer plant-based diets, but I really just enjoy eating local, healthy, whole foods.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then just some of the logistics that we already covered before. You're available around the end of June, early July,
Yes,
and you're available indefinitely.
yes.
Um, do you have a vehicle?
I, I don't. My vehicle when I left my construction job and have been on my bike since then.
Okay, you ride a bike. All right, some other questions. Why do you want to work for OSE or with OSE?
I, I really believe in the project. I think that the open source model applied in this way to the built environment and um, people's ability to sustain themselves and support themselves is really a great approach for solving a whole bunch of the world's problems.
How has your life personally been impacted by some of the global issues that we're addressing?
I found the work with the construction company very frustrating. Um, I wanted to do well, and I like doing well in everything I do, but I didn't believe in the projects we were building. And in general, there aren't very many opportunities to make a living for oneself and do so in a humane, just, sustainable way.
Why didn't you believe in the project?
I'm sorry.
Explain why you don't believe in that project that you were working on.
I didn't enjoy expanding fossil fuel infrastructure, roads, freeways. I don't think those are good ideas.
Right.
On the other project I worked on, it was a very large scale dam. Um, I don't think there's a good energy return on energy investment in any of these projects, and they're not very forward thinking.
Okay. How do you personally work on yourself internally? Do you ever apply any kind of practices, or are you consciously cultivating certain habits of thought or anything, or like how do you improve your quality of life from an interior perspective?
I I try to verbalize things and um, express myself. I guess I work on not holding things in. Um, I like to take deep breaths and think about things and um, do right, follow my heart. And then when I have problems, I try to address them in the appropriate way.
Okay. Do you feel like you're naturally stronger than most people around you?
I think I have a lot of potential. Um, I I have a strong personality and um, like to make things happen.
Like to make okay. I'm trying to get a sense of. You seem like, I mean, the way that you come across to me is like you're strong. You have enough strength of will inside yourself not to get caught up in focusing on the negative and complaining, but rather you like to find solutions. You might have some natural talents for just being, kind of resilient. It seems like because we're going to be engaged in not only a community effort but some strenuous activity, to generate a model that could potentially help millions of people. So integrating with the community is paramount. Um, do you are you observant of other people's inferior means of coping, and do you feel like you have something that actually works? Because there are a lot of people who are not strong enough to properly cope with stress. And so, what's your perspective on these issues?
Um, those were good observations of my personality and character, I think. I do tend to have very independent thoughts and not need um, babying or assistance in working through my problems. There are limits to that, and I tried to express that earlier. Um, when I have emotions that I need to vent, I do that. But I do think I'm sensitive to the needs of others and observant of different personalities and different characters that aren't the same as me. Um, People have different needs, and I'm capable of recognizing that and, again, acting appropriately depending on the situation and the person.
Okay. And if and you're comfortable like having people above you like Marchin might. I mean, we generally cultivate a meritocracy, but Marchin is primarily leading the strategic planning effort.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the big vision, so you're comfortable like following his lead on how things should go.
Yes,
Okay, awesome. How old are you?
27.
27. All right. And you said mechanical engineering, right? That's your background.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, man. That's okay. Actually, let me think about this. So we generally give out like an assignment to demonstrate your abilities and kind of show your skin in the game factor. Um, we've got an OSC micro house design. It's all been put into a SketchUp model, and there's a bunch of architectural drawings. Um, that is currently, as it stands, is a pretty high-end design that might cost more in dollars and materials than we generally want to proceed with as a model.
Okay.
We probably want. I think our target is to build a house this summer. Demonstrate we can build a house in 1 week's time with 4 laborers for under $3,000 using the compressed earth brick press. Um, we might also get into the cement mixer and the dimensional sawmill.
Okay.
So that would be one of your tasks. So let me. That would be one of the main things that we'll need you to accomplish this summer. Lead that effort. I thought I had something in my mind, and it's just not coming to me. There was something that I wanted to kind of get going with construction. Okay. So I'm gonna start with this assignment, and then when we meet with Marchin, he might have another one. Is that okay? Like you start with this one, and then we'll do another one also. Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay. So sustainable construction or responsible construction is an entire field in itself. It's sometimes can be very different than conventional construction. So there are industry world leaders that can really probably be great advisors for us in terms of guiding this process and making it the most effective it can be. So I'd like you to do some research and find out who these world leaders are. Like, for example, look at Cal Earth and do some research on who's leading their. I know the guy who started that's pretty old right now. I mean, it'd be awesome if he could get involved. But ideally, we would find these industry world leaders and bring them to Factory E Farm to do a workshop where you would learn a lot from them over like a week's time. Then we would create training curriculum with them. And then they would go home and you would continue to lead that effort locally. So I guess the assignment is find out names, bios, and contact info for people who are leading the sustainable construction movement worldwide. And then
Okay.
our goal is going to be to reach out to them and invite them to come and do training programs at Factory Farm. Probably only one of them, really. So we're going to have to find, the best one who's also willing to come. But
Okay.
Um, let's find at least 5 names. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, names, bios, and contact info.
Okay.
And then,
And
yeah, go ahead.
you mentioned one earlier, Cal Earth.
Yeah, CAL hyphen Earth. They do earth bag housing, dome construction.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but emphasize compressed earth brick building.
Okay.
CEB construction.
Yes.
Another one to look at is Auroville, AUROVILLE.
Okay. Can
Um,
do.
and then also make sure you look on the wiki too because we've got some leads on there. See if you can get any leads off of that. Okay.
Okay.
And then today is what, Wednesday?
Uh-huh.
How about by that? You could probably get a good list going. 5 is a good start, but if you could get 25, why not? And then we'll
Sure.
whittle it down. But let's. Can you do that by the weekend? Because it's just names, bios, and contact info.
Sure.
Because we'll probably set up a second interview where Marchin will be involved before that or by that time. So
Okay. So Monday, if I got it to you, um, I guess either Sunday night or Monday morning, that would be fine.
yeah, that's fine. Yep.
Okay.
All right, man. Do you have any other questions or comments?
Um, no, I don't.
All right. Thanks for your time and interest, and I look forward to following up with you, man.
Great. Thank you,
Thanks.
Aaron.
See ya.